Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Good Boxing Podcast with your host, Josh Sias. Today, I have a very fun episode for you. Evidently, Ryan Garcia had a very exciting announcement for us today, and today happens to be that day. Um, People are excited. People are kind of talking about who is Ryan Garcia going to fight. Are we going to get the Javante Tank Davis versus Ryan Garcia? Maybe he's going to line up to fight someone else that could have tremendous implications on the hottest or second hottest division, in my opinion, in boxing at the 135-pound division. Well, if you really think about it, it's actually probably the third. I would have 147 being the hottest, given the fact that it has the deepest division. Then I would say heavyweight, based on the fact that heavyweights predominantly always dominate boxing, and people talk about heavyweight boxing no matter what. It's probably the most exciting or the most boring, depending on the matchup, right? But 135 pounds, certainly with Teofimo Lopez, Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia, Javante Tank Davis, and Lomachenko, it's a very exciting division. Ryan Garcia is undoubtedly, in my opinion, the biggest and most known 135 pounder in the world. If you look at the crazy following, he owns Generation Z, the millennial population, and quite frankly, his demographics with women and men alike are phenomenal. I mean, you look at his following, he has over 8 million followers. He has deals with Gatorade, like he's box office and sells. He has a YouTube channel that does extremely well. TikTok, you name it, Ryan Garcia is all over it. So this announcement really means something to me, and I want to know who it is. Well, I've known who it is for a long time, and you guys are not going to get the fight that you want yet. Okay. And just stick with me while I kind of work through this. And these are kind of the things why I like doing this podcast is because I get to share the thoughts that I want to share with you and just some stuff I think about and just contemplate certain scenarios where certain fights may happen, certain fights may not, and just kind of the reasoning behind my chain of thought and my stream of consciousness. Okay. Ryan Garcia is going to fight Javier Fortuna. He's not going to fight Tank Davis. He's not going to fight Devin Haney. He's not going to fight Teofimo Lopez. He's not going to fight anyone of that nature. And to me, it's just such an interesting pick, given the fact that the mandatory for Ryan Garcia is Devin Haney, and Devin Haney's mandatory is Ryan Garcia. So the fact that Ryan Garcia is actually fighting Devin Haney's other mandatory other than Ryan Garcia based on ranking. And then Devin Haney's fighting Ryan Garcia's apparent mandatory for his belt. Um, it's just really an interesting kind of mix up. But Javier Fortuna, and the reason why I'm sitting here and saying that it's an exciting fight, at least in principle, because Javier Fortuna is a solid boxer, and Ryan Garcia still only has one legitimate 135-pound fight under his belt. If you really think about it, Luke Campbell was his first real step up fight, and it was his first true test. You saw how he did, and you saw how he handled it. He got dropped, got back up. You already know the story. The clip is still going out there. People love to talk about it. And I have to mention it because it was box office, and this is what makes Ryan Garcia exciting. Now, not only did he have everything else, the good looks, the fast hands, the masterful marketing, because you have to give the kid credit. He's a marketing genius. He utilized all his social platforms and really stays abreast with the most cutting edge promotional tools. Oscar De La Hoya probably isn't marketing him the way he should, and he's kind of learning how much of a gold mine he does have in Ryan Garcia. Because in the beginning, he was just trying to like slowly but surely move him along. But he doesn't realize that when you have social following, you have the attention of everyone, and you're captivating your audience, you have to capture that moment. You have to utilize that moment. Viral fame isn't the same as a traditional old guard. Fight a bunch of bums, get a beautiful record, and then maybe you're going to fight one day on pay per view. Now Ryan Garcia can have a clip of him, boxing with his shirt off and doing some mitts with the D'Amelio sisters, or any sort of big TikTok or Instagram star. And I'm telling you, you will sell more pay-per-views than 3 fights against a scrub that you're going to knock out on the first round. I know it's something new, but this fight with Javier Fortuna, while not the most ideal, we want the Tank fight. We want the Teofimo fight. We want the Devin Haney fight. But the one big positive from this is you get another lefty. And clearly, Ryan Garcia right now is practicing. He knows that Gervonta Davis is not an easy fight. And yes, I did pick Ryan Garcia to win the fight with Gervonta Davis because Gervonta Davis physically is a little smaller. And again, you're always going to want the person that has the better attributes in a fight: speed, length, height. Make it as hard as you can for the shorter fighter. And yes, Gervonta Davis has power, but you still have to land your power in order to connect and win, right? And I feel like Ryan Garcia is tall enough, fast enough to kind of make the fight hard for him. And Gervonta can certainly win. I'm not sitting here and saying that Gervonta Davis is a scrub. I think he's a very talented boxer, and regardless of whatever he's going through, um, I still think this is the fight to make. People want to see Ryan Garcia and Gervonta Tank Davis. So practice, right? You want a major fight with a major player in the division. It's very similar to what happened with Jorge Linares, right? You keep practicing against lefties. Danny Garcia did the same thing when he was going to fight Errol Spence. You guys got to realize that these fights don't just happen overnight. I really do feel that while Oscar isn't and hasn't been the best promoter at certain times, he knows that Ryan Garcia needs work against lefties to give himself the best chance. Because the worst possible scenario for Ryan Garcia is that when he steps up to Tank Davis, he gets obliterated. No shame in losing to Tank Davis, but if Tank Davis knocks you out, he looks outclassed, he looks exposed, the star is going to dim. And that's what you want to prevent. So I like the fact that he's going to fight someone who's good boxing ability, good boxer. Javier Fortuna arguably beat um, Robert Easter Jr. It was a really, really close fight. And Javier Fortuna is a solid fighter. He's not Gervonta Tank Davis. He's not the top of the top, but he certainly is a fight that I feel Ryan Garcia can utilize to propel his star power more and really build that resume. So expect Javier Fortuna versus Ryan Garcia to be announced today. I know it's not the fight you want, but think about it. He fought Luke Campbell, lefty. Fights Javier Fortuna, lefty. If it's not Tank Davis, he's at least ready for Lomachenko. Bob Arum has shown and mentioned that he would love to have a Loma or a Teofimo Ryan Garcia fight to be promoted on ESPN. Ryan Garcia has fought on ESPN. ESPN would promote the F out of Ryan Garcia if they were on it. He's the biggest star in boxing in terms of popularity online. Well, actually, no. Canelo's bigger than him, but he's linked with Canelo. That whole team is box office. God knows how big of a fight that fight with Gervonta and Tank Davis would be. Even Lomachenko and Ryan Garcia would be phenomenal. So I like the fact that they're letting the kid develop in the ring. They're giving him challenges. They're no longer giving him the bums like Duno and all these guys that are supposed to give him a test, and they just don't. They get knocked out in the first round, and it's just like, what are we doing here? But expect that. And that's the episode for today. What do you think about the theory? I think it's cool that they're trying to let Ryan Garcia practice against lefties, learn the Canelo system still, because again, they only have a few fights together. And you saw against Luke Campbell that he made some technical errors when you're fighting a lefty. He got caught with that overhand left. Gervonta Tank Davis catches him with that, it's over. If any other formidable lefty with power catches him with that, it's probably over. Luke Campbell got a little passive and he should have went after him, right? You heard him, you got to take him out. But it didn't happen. Ryan Garcia's story continues, and the star and the legend of Ryan Garcia is growing. And I think the fact that they're trying to build him slowly but surely, but in a way where it's actually credible development. I don't mind development. I just don't like when you sit here and you portray that someone that you're putting in front of him is supposed to be a test and it's just a fucking first round knockout bum. And again, every fighter is not a bum. I'm not sitting here trying to disrespect anyone, but some of the guys that Ryan Garcia fought on his resume, come on. Like, no. So, you know what? I apologize. I'm not going to sit here and say that. When I say relative to Ryan Garcia's level, I think there's a big disparity between the skill set. And I just don't want to see a fight where it's just so one sided that I'm just wasting my time. I'm staying up. I'm doing all this stuff. You pay to stream or you pay to watch, sometimes to see these fights. And when you see a one sided blowout, it's like, what was the point of that? There's not even content. You can't really even talk about it. And then people will clearly say you never fight anyone, right? Anyways, so you could be good, you could fight someone good. Why even waste time? But that's another time and another rant. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I think Ryan Garcia Lomachenko will be a good fight. Ryan Garcia Gervonta Tank Davis will be a good fight. And when you're developing and practicing against lefties, I love it. I truthfully think this is going to be good for Ryan Garcia. And while it's not the fight we wanted, and we were promised Pacquiao, we were promised all these fighters, it's marketing at the end of the day. Like, whatever. Okay. Follow the Boxing Podcast on Instagram at Good Boxing Podcast. And if you haven't, want to watch the video episode, sometimes I release them a little earlier than these episodes. Follow the YouTube channel at Good Boxing Podcast. Be well. Have a great day.